not an expert in fiat currencies and central banks and what they need to do, but clearly there is a gradual movement towards central banks looking at digital currencies. Yeah. Yeah.
It seems that a lot of these use cases are satisfied by some smart contracts and some redundant systems. So that's what you're doing is a blockchain technology. So the implementation of how you manage those security applications, perhaps between the right or through the right, or could be something else which is faster and more centralized.
Yeah.
You can manage these smart contracts.
Yeah, I mean, blockchain in and of itself, even if you can encode in it, doesn't give you everything you need to some of these solutions, which is one other reason we quite like, I'm not here to particularly push anything, but we quite like the Microsoft blockchain as a service stack because it's a lot more than just blockchain. There's a whole set of other services they provide around things like DRC and replication and security and auditability and monitoring that you don't get out of the box with any open source blockchain technology. All wrapped in, it's what they call the cryptlet upper layers, cryptlets, for those of you who understand the Bletchley technology. We just found that the most sophisticated and advanced offering in the cloud market that we were looking for. Going back a year, not quite up to speed with where it is now, but I still think Microsoft was the richest set of APIs that delivered all of those extra things you need for an actual solution. Yeah.
I think some of the new coins that are coming, that are starting to get more attention now, essentially focused on reducing some of the limitations that exist in the current chains anyway. So people ask me, when am I going to start seeing this? And it's like, you'll never see it. When it's mainstream, it'll be indistinguishable from whatever you're doing now.
That's absolutely right. This is somewhat not transparent. It's not clear to customers whether your bank or insurance company or whatever is starting to use underlying blockchain technologies. To you, that will just appear seamless. Yeah.
I'm just going to go and check on these situations.
One question.
Yeah.
About 6 months ago, or about 8 months ago, we met with KPMG in Adelaide. Talked to them about fractional ownership using blockchain technology. They really didn't have any idea of how to tackle that at all. And they referred it back to Sydney, and Sydney said they had to refer it to some other specialists.
Would have been my team in Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah. Has that improved now across organisations like KPMG who you're working with? The knowledge of how to apply blockchain to different opportunities?
So I can only talk about KPMG. I don't know other entities, but you have to understand KPMG is not a company. It's a franchise network of 75 companies that call themselves KPMG. All Big Four are like that because by law, every auditor in a country has to be a company of that country and the partners have to be citizens of that country. That's audit law. So KPMG are active in 75 countries. They have 75 different firms with different ownership structures, if you understand Big Four, okay? So when I talked about building out these capabilities across Asia, I was doing it with 14 member firms in Asia, not Australia, because Australia had a very active and quite successful IT practice. But I wouldn't know that they're very strong in Adelaide. It's a very Sydney-centric practice. I would say there's now half a dozen people in Sydney that kind of get this, but not as much as the team were in Singapore. Yeah.
Do one more and then we'll grab some food.
Australian Stock Exchange have been talking about using a distributed ledger for a couple of years. I don't hear much news. Any insight?
Yeah, well, the Australian Stock Exchange went with Digital Asset Holdings, which is a New York company, the CEO of which is very famous because she left probably the #1 paying job at JP Morgan. She was head of investment banking at JP Morgan. That's a $20 million a year job to be the CEO of Digital Asset Holdings, right? And she's a very impressive woman who's absolutely outstanding when she speaks on stage and everything. The Australian Stock Exchange not only used DAH, they invested in them. They own about 10% of that company. The problem is this was all driven by the CEO, whose name I've forgotten. He's no longer the CEO because there was a bit of a scandal about his resume or his background. So he left the ASX, and it's not clear to me what's happened since he's left, what the commitment to this initiative was. It may have been very much him, or it may have been more than that. I don't know. I haven't caught up with it. But I do know Digital Asset Holdings is quite a successful company and is focused on exchanges and is doing a lot of work with Tokyo Stock Exchange, with NASDAQ, with Frankfurt Bourse and a few others as well.
Cool. I'm going to stop the stream while we're eating because it's tethering off my phone. We'll have something to eat and come back after that for Warwick's presentation, and then we'll have another discussion afterwards if anyone has any other questions. So please help yourselves, and thanks again, Bob.
Yeah.